Okay guys, today we are ranking every single track in F-Zero GX's Grand-Prix mode. Now, I specifically mean Grand-Prix mode, so tracks like Sonic Oval and the story mode tracks will not be included in this tier list, because I wanted to focus primarily on Grand-Prix mode and the experience you have playing these tracks in Grand-Prix mode. And Sonic Oval, it's an exhibition mode track only, and it also features as the track of Chapter 1, so it's not really a track that sticks out to me because of it, outside of Chapter 1, and I don't really want to focus on that. I want to focus on the Grand-Prix tracks. Now, I wanted to originally do a worst to best video on it, but somebody else already did one. Go check their video out, you should be able to find it if you look at worst to best. And I thought, well, I might actually do a tier list instead, just so I can differentiate my video from theirs, so that it's a little different. But in any case, let's begin. So, the first set of tracks seems to be the AX Cup tracks, and we have Aeropolis Screwdrive. Now, this is the first track of the AX Cup, and it's a pretty simple track. The best way to describe this track is that it's got a really tricky corner at the end, and the place where the pit strip is can be a little tricky to align your vehicle, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It's just one of those tracks that ultimately depends on what vehicle you're driving in regards to its difficulty, because for some machines it's going to be a breeze, for other machines it's a little trickier, but it's not really all that difficult. In a way, this is a good practice track because it does a great job at getting you used to the machine you're using, and at the same time it's Aeropolis, so you get the best song in the game, Zen, for the entire track, but unfortunately the track is very short, so you don't really get to hear much of it, but it's a decent track. I'm probably going to put this on good tier, because I do think that it is a good track. It's got Zen, it's just nothing amazing. It's not the most amazing track, and out of all the Aeropolis tracks, it's probably the worst. Now, next we have Meteor Stream, and this is the only outer space track in the game. There's no other outer space track in F-Zero GX or AX, and this is the second track in the AX Cup. And in my opinion, this is the easiest track in the game, because for some reason the AI just absolutely suck ass at this track, and it's very wide. Yeah, it has a few twists and turns, but they're not really anything difficult to overcome. And yeah, it's a pipe track sort of, but it's a very wide pipe track, and you can go pretty fast on it. There's some nice boost pads, and yeah, there's a slidey section, which is kind of like one of those, like, it's kind of like ice, but it's not. It's kind of like this blue pad thing, which makes you slippy. And yeah, like, there's that, but it's not really too problematic. Honestly, this track is basically just an adrenaline rush, and I actually like this track quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie. It just really makes you feel the rush in all the right ways. It's easygoing, but it makes you feel the rush. So if you suck at F-Zero GX, this is the track that you want to play on. Unfortunately, if you suck at F-Zero GX, you're going to have to use an action replay to unlock it, because the only way to unlock AX Cup is by beating all of the Grand-Prix Cups on Masterclass, except AX Cup. So yeah, by the time you've unlocked this track, it's easy. So yeah, very good. I really do like this track. Also, I want to mention the aesthetic for outer space is phenomenal. Like, you can see the Earth below you, and you can see freaking meteorites like raining down from the sky. It's fucking awesome. It's just an amazing track, like, in every single way. Next we have Port Town Cylinder Wave. This track's interesting because it's one of those tracks where the final part of the track is ultimately the most important part, and you can easily fuck it up if you're not careful, depending on what machine you're using. Now, the part I'm talking about is the part just before the split, because there's a split on this track, and it's very important that you do not miss the pit strip on the split, because if you do, you are fucked. And the thing about this track is that boosting doesn't really matter until the final stretch. And while boosting does definitely help on the first section, after you hit the pit strip, you don't want to boost. Even though you'll have full energy, you do not want to boost at that point. You want to take the boost pads instead, and only boost if you miss a boost pad, because otherwise you'll go too fast and you'll lose control and you'll probably end up on the wrong split. So you have to be careful there. But once you get on the right split and you hit that pit strip, it's just boost all the way and try and hit some boost pads along the way as well. And yeah, if you're fast enough and you're high up in the rankings, you can win. It's actually pretty fun. So I'm going to put this on very good tier. Next we have Thunder Road. This track is fucking awesome. I love this track so much. This track, like, the music of this track perfectly syncs up to everything you do. I swear to fucking God it does. Because, like, as you turn those corners and then you boost out of it, like, it can sync up to the fucking music and it feels so awesome. This track is basically full of 90-degree turns, and it has a few, like, windy areas, but nothing that's too hard to deal with unless you're driving Magic Seagull, in which case the windy bit might be a little problematic. But other than that, like, the only thing that's worth noting is that it has some narrow areas, but most of it's wide, and it's pretty chaotic. It's also really fun to kill people on this track as well. Like, this track is basically just full of fun, and that's why I absolutely have to put it on perfection tier, because it's a very simple track, but it's very wide, it's very chaotic, it's got a nice mix of narrow and wide areas, and some 90-degree corners for some drifting, and yeah, I just really like the vibe that this track has, even though it's like mostly a flat road. I just like the 90-degree turns. It's a nice change from the like 180s and like the curvy areas, although there is a curvy area. But I don't think that the curvy area is as bad as Loop Cross for Magic Seagull, so it's not going to be that bad. And it also has a bumpy area as well, so it's got a nice bit of everything, and yeah, the music syncs up perfectly with everything. It just feels good. It's one of those feel-good tracks. Next up we have Green Plant Spiral. This is without a doubt the best track of all the Green Plant tracks, because it has the best view of the entire track. Like, what I mean by this is that the aesthetics of like the backgrounds, I found with the other Green Plant tracks, it's very hard to kind of like see the full view of the aesthetic, whereas with Spiral it's easy because there's a lot of sections where you do these, like particularly at the beginning after the pipe, you do this big jump and you can see a huge view of the entire planet in the distance and all of the greenery and stuff, and there's a lot of great views from an aesthetic standpoint on this track. And honestly, out of all the Green Plant tracks, it's probably my favourite to drive on, just simply because it's a nice track. It does get a little bit tricky at the end though, it does, but I really do like this track a lot because it's pretty long, but it has a nice amount of pit strips, so you're constantly boosting, and you know, as I say, the aesthetic views are really nice because you get to see everything, whereas the other tracks you don't really get to see as much, I find, because they're very, like, I don't know, like, you're basically going like on like some huge jumps on this track, whereas the others, not so much. It's just, you're just trying to focus on the race, but you can actually take time out to just like enjoy the atmosphere and enjoy the drive on this track, whereas the others are just too frantic and you just can't pay attention to all of the environments around you. So for that reason, very good. I definitely like this track, and it's my favourite of the Green Plant tracks. Right, now we're into Ruby Cup, and first of all we have Mute City Twist Road. This is the first track in the game. It's basically the same thing as Screwdrive, but I think it's a bit more straightforward. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is the alignment at the end, and this ultimately will tell you whether or not your vehicle has a good slide or not. Because if your vehicle handles like shit, the final section you'll probably crash into a wall or you will miss the dash pad. But if your vehicle is very good at handling, hitting the dash pad is very easy. And yeah, it's a little bit more easygoing than Screwdrive, and even though it isn't, it does feel longer and it's wider. Like, Screwdrive doesn't really give you much chance to really just like take it easy because you're really hyper focused, and it's just like it's over in a blink of an eye, but the track is very involving. Whereas Mute City, it's just kind of just like you're just driving and, you know, down a wide road for the most part, and there's just not really much to it, and there's a few corners, but it's not eventful. Whereas Screwdrive, you're constantly thinking about each corner and every aspect of the track. So Twist Road is very basic, but I don't mind it. It's good. It's not as good as Screwdrive. I think Screwdrive is a better track. I mean, it's Aeropolis, so it's amazing. But I do think that this is the best of the Mute City tracks, because the other Mute City tracks, well, let's put it this way, I'm not a fan, as you'll see soon enough. Right, next we have Split Oval. This is kind of an easy track, but also a very deceptive track, because there's a section of this track where you can actually fall off the track if you drive too fast in the wrong areas. And that has happened to me, but if you play by the rules and you don't boost too much at the wrong time, you should be fine. There's a lot of dash pads on this track, which makes it pretty frantic and really gets the adrenaline pumping because you're driving fast and you're constantly boosting and chaining the boosts. And yeah, it's just basically that last section where it's just all out boosting, because like once you get past the hump, of course, and that's the thing, that's the tricky thing, you can't just boost until you actually reach a certain part of the track when you can, and that's the thing that always gets people on this track. Nevertheless, I like this track. It's not the most amazing track, but it's a good one. I'll put it above Twist Road. Sand Ocean Surface Slide. For some reason, this track is really difficult. And I think part of the reason why this track is difficult is mainly due to the fact, and I'm not saying that it's difficult in the sense that it's the hardest track in the game. Oh no, it's far from it, but compared to the other Ruby Cup tracks, this one's actually kind of challenging. And the reason being is because there's only one pit strip, and the moment you take that pit strip, you'd think that you would want to boost. You absolutely do not. You want to start boosting after you get past the hairpin turn, after, like, everyone, like, because if you don't, like, wait until after the hairpin turn, everyone's going to catch up to you after the hairpin turn. So once you've got to the hairpin turn, yes, people will pass you, but then you might be able to pass them. And it's the best time to do a boost, if you ask me, because that's when you'll start passing people, because you won't be slowed down by a corner. And it's very complicated on where you place the boosts on this track, because like if you're a really fast machine, it's going to be easier than if you're a very slow machine for that section. But like, it's very complicated because it's a very windy track, even at the end, and also because the surfaces are uneven, hence the name Surface Slide, that makes things even trickier. So if you boost at the wrong time, you'll pay for it. So you really have to be careful where you boost. It's a tricky track, but it's definitely not a bad one, but like, I have trouble with it. Regardless, I'm going to put it on good. Lightning Loop Cross. This is one of the tracks that I absolutely dread when I'm driving Magic Seagull, and the reason for it is the corner right at the start. Like, there's this twisty section right at the start, and if you're driving a vehicle like Magic Seagull, which can't fucking drift for shit and needs to fucking slide, it's not fun because it doesn't really have that steering capability. It's more of a stable machine than a oversteering machine, and because of that, it kind of sucks, that section. But other than that, this is a track where the AI really likes to be aggressive, but you can also get some kills because the AI tends to be all bunched up together, and that makes it easy to kill people. But it also means it's easy for you to die as well, particularly at the end. Like, don't even bother attempting suicide finishes on this track, because if you try, you'll probably end up like exploding like instantly, because your vehicle will just bounce onto the track part like that is above. Because the thing about this track is that there's like roofs on the track that can just screw you, and there's also like the interior sections that you'll probably bounce into, which just instantly blow you up. It's just weird. This track is kind of weird like that, but it's not a bad track. I don't think that it's a bad track at all. It's just kind of weird. It's one of those love-hate relationship tracks, I'd say. I'm going to put it on good because I do like the track. I do. Next we have Aeropolis Multiplex. Absolutely perfection. This track fucking nails it. This track is everything I love about F-Zero GX in one track. It's one of those tracks that just feels good from beginning to end. Like, every corner just feels good to take. The track has a lot of straights that let you go really fast, but you have to be careful not to hit the dirt pads, otherwise you'll slow down on that section. You know what I'm talking about. It's not too complicated, but it's complicated enough. It's like complex enough to make it fun. This is just a fun ride. That's what it is. It's not boring like this track, but it's also not ridiculously impossible like some of the tracks we're going to talk about later. It's just right, difficulty wise. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but for the final track of Ruby Cup, this track is intense. Because, and this is why I wanted to focus on Grand-Prix, because this track really does matter, because it's the final track of Ruby Cup, which is probably the first cup you're going to do, and for the final track of the first cup you do, this track leaves an amazing first impression. Forget about all the other cups. The moment you finish this track on Ruby Cup, and you hear that fucking final lap music from Aeropolis, which is Zen, fucking amazing track. You will love this game. You'll immediately fall in love with this game, and this is the track that made me fall in love with F-Zero GX, because the fucking track design's amazing, the music is fucking awesome. I mean, if you look at my top 10 favourite electronic music list, this track's song gets number 1 on that list, because I fucking adore it. It's literally a fucking techno orgasm. That's what this fucking song is, and I fucking love it. But yeah, Multiplex is fucking amazing. I absolutely adore it. What I don't adore, though, is Big Blue Drift Highway. This track isn't very good. It's too short for starters. You barely ever get to see the surface because most of it's in the tunnels. And when you do get to see the surface, it's mainly just like a jump, and then you just get into the bit with the 2 waterfalls and back into another tunnel. And yeah, there's not really much to see other than underwater for the most part. And it's one of those blink and you miss it tracks, which, yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. But on top of this, the AI on this track, for some reason, are fucking god tier on Masterclass, and it makes it an absolute fucking nightmare. Like, this is what I mean by too complex. Like, this track is insanely difficult just simply because the AI are just so fucking good at it. That, and on the final stretch, there's this fucking S-turn in the freaking like tunnel section, and it's an absolute nightmare to make that turn. It's a fucking nightmare. I just spin attack because that seems to be the best way to get around that fucking corner, and plus you might actually get some free kills doing it. But yeah, it slows you down a lot, which it will slow the AI down, but I just cannot for the life of me manage to take that corner at high speeds. But the AI certainly can, and they will make you fucking suffer on fucking Masterclass. So yeah, I don't really like this track very much. Next we have Port Town Aero Dive. This is the Smash Bros. Brawl stage that everybody knows. Everybody's seen this track before because it's in Smash Bros. Brawl as a stage. Now, as a track, this track is probably the second easiest track in the game. Like, the easiest is still Meteor Stream, but this is the second easiest because the AI, for some reason, like, the AI just completely lose faith in themselves. It's like they've given up on life. The moment they see this track, it's just like, oh no, we can't do this. We can't boost here. We can't drive fast here. And somehow, like, they just become the dumbest fucking AI of all time and just never boost. And they're just terrified of this fucking easy track. Meanwhile, you just boost ahead and you just don't see the AI for fucking ages. You forget that you're even playing on fucking Masterclass when you're driving on this track because it's so fucking foreign. You're so used to the AI anally invading you 24/7, but when this track comes along, it's the other way around. You're dominating them, and they don't even have a fucking chance. I mean, sometimes they'll catch up to you, but you'll just boost past them quickly anyways, and then you'll just win the race with no effort. As a track though, I mean, it's got a nice view. It's basically like the spiral of the Port Town tracks because you get to see all of Port Town instead of like not being able to concentrate on Port Town. For that reason, I'm going to put it on very good because I just love the atmosphere of this track. It looks really nice. It's a very easy track, but it's a nice drive and it's got some nice jump sections and it just feels good. Right, next we have Mobius Ring. Yeah, I don't like this track at all. I think this track is probably like one of the worst tracks in the game. And I know a lot of people would say that Mobius Ring isn't really that difficult. It's just a fucking ring. It's basically just Sonic Oval again. You're wrong. And I'll tell you why you're wrong. Now, you might think that this track is easy. You might think that this track is straightforward, and it is, but this track is deceptive, and I will tell you why. Because when you play this track on Masterclass, like if you play it on Novice Class, Standard Class, Expert Class, like it's a breeze. Let's be honest, it is. But if you play this on Masterclass, you are in for a world of pain. And I'm not talking about the track itself, like I'm talking about the AI. The AI are going to anally invade you the whole race. And if you even touch the AI, like touch the AI, or they just slam into you, you can die instantly. Like, and I mean this, at any time, because of how this track is designed and how F-Zero GX's physics work. This track is hell. Just simply for that, because the physics will just turn against you and screw you, and you'll just die in one hit from the stupidest thing ever, and it's just like, it can happen at any moment. So basically this game likes to fuck you on this track. This track is basically a roulette wheel when you're playing on fucking Masterclass, because the AI can just screw you at any minute, and it's never your fault, because it can just happen randomly. Like, you just need to go near, or just someone just boost into your fucking asshole, which they do. They'll just boost and just ram you, and then you just instantly blow up because you just like fly off the track because of just the way that this track's designed and how it fucks with the physics. I don't know how else I can explain it. I mean, other than that, it is a pretty smooth ride. I mean, getting the pit strip pretty difficult, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. And yeah, very deceptively, like it's a very deceptive track. Like, it's deceptive in its difficulty because you think it's going to be easy, but it ain't. And it's all because of the AI. If you play on the lower difficulties, it's a breeze. But I'm basing this on Masterclass difficulty, people, and on Masterclass, this is one of the tracks that I fucking dread. Right, next we have Port Town Long Pipe. Not really much to say here. It's probably one of the most straightforward pipe tracks in the game. I mean, it makes sense because it's the first one. And yeah, like, basically this is just hit all the fucking boost pads and you should be in first position. It's got some interesting sections, some bumpy sections, and there's also a lot of things to watch out for as well. It does kind of get annoying, particularly at the end when you have to go through a lot of freaking pillars, and sometimes you'll just hit the pillars, but other than that, it's not really too difficult as long as you can hit all those boost pads. And you do have a pit strip at the end, so unless you miss a dash pad, you'll never need to boost in this track because you'll be constantly fucking hitting dash pads 24/7. But yeah, like, this track is decent. I think this is a good track, but it's not the best track, but it's a decent track, for, like, it's a good pipe track. Let's just put it that way. Right, serial gaps, fuck this track. This track is fucking shit. Like, I know there's a lot of people that swear by this track because of the fucking mind boost that you can do, but that's proof. That's proof that this track is a mess, because you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to skip half the fucking track by doing a fucking exploit, because that's what it is. And yeah, I know a lot of people love the track just simply because they can exploit it. It's just like, just because you can exploit it doesn't mean that the track itself is good. It just means that you're good. You know, there's a difference. And if you don't skip that fucking section of the track, get ready for a world of pain. But even if you do manage to get through that second section of the track, the final section is the worst. And I'll tell you why, because either you end up on the top or at the bottom. If you're at the bottom, get ready to get last place, because everyone else is going to take the top, and the top is the fastest way to get to the end, and the bottom is like wide, but you're fucked because it takes fucking forever to get to the fucking finish line. Now, the annoying thing is, if you take the top, there's no railings, so you can fall to your death, and you might think, oh, I'll just land on the bottom. Yeah, good luck trying to aim at the bottom when you're just falling with fucking F-Zero GX physics. So yeah, you have that aspect of risk right at the end, but not only that, right afterwards you have this really awkward jump right at the end, and it's like, if you fuck it up, you might just fall off. Like, it's just really awkward, and it's so sudden, and it just really feels messy, because like, just the way that you have to take that jump, it just feels wrong. I just really don't like the track. It's just all over the place in all the worst ways. And to finish Sapphire Cup with this track is never fun. Right, next we have Cylinder Knot. This is a much tougher pipe track. This is probably one of the tougher pipe tracks. Like, in terms of full pipe tracks, this is the toughest. Hands down. In terms of full pipe tracks, like, just, like, when I say full pipe tracks, I mean there's no like half pipe section at all. The reason why this is tough is because, unlike Cylinder Wave, which is wide with like a lot of the boost pad sections, this one isn't, and it's very difficult to find the boost pads. Unlike Cylinder Wave, where it's kind of easy because they're more or less laid out in a way that makes sense. You really have to practice this track a lot to find all of the boost pads, so that you know what you're doing. And yeah, even when you do, because the track looks very samey at times, because it's very long, and like there's a lot of sections which is just you going down a straight line of just pipe and trying to find these freaking pads, and yeah, it's not easy, but it's one of those tracks that you'll probably end up getting second place when you finish it a lot. Even though you feel that you should be able to get first, it's like, I should be able to get first on this track. I know this track. There's always going to be that one guy that passes you right at the end, and just like, oh, I just want to restart, just simply because I got second instead of first, and I really should have gotten first. But it's actually kind of difficult to get first. It's not difficult other than that though, but when you've got the next track to do right after it, yeah, you think twice about getting second. So you'll redo this track a lot. For multiple reasons. Either because you fuck up a lot on Emerald Cup and die and then you have to redo this track, or because you just got a poor rating. Like, because you just got a poor ranking. Yeah. So, personally, I'm going to put this on good tier. I'm going to put it on a bit higher. I'll put it there. Yeah. I like this track, but it's not easy. I don't think any of the Firefield tracks are easy, but yeah, it's a good track, it's a challenge, but yeah, like that's my experience with the track at least. Right, next we have Green Plant Intersection. Well, does anybody like this track? I don't think anybody does. I don't think it's as bad as Drift Highway, but I don't think it's as good as like any of the good ones. I'm going to put this on not good. I'm going to put this at the top of not good, but man, like that final stretch is just a nightmare in every single way. Because fucking Roger Buster and Draft absolutely anally invade you on this track on Masterclass. I swear to God, it's always those two bell ends. They will fucking demolish you. Like, they always do. They're always up your asshole at the end of this fucking track. I swear to God, like, you're racing, like, you're usually not in the first place because the track's fucking hard, but, like, you're getting to the end and you're just trying to not die by like hitting that bump and like boosting off the track, which you all know what that's all about. It's the infamous fucking bump at the end that you have to like kind of like slide, like aerial slide, so you don't fucking slam into like off the track. A lot of people say the tree, but I never noticed the tree when I hit anything. But yeah, it's that section that fucks you all the time, and because of the slowdown of trying to reorientate yourself to like not fall off the track, you slow down. So Roger Buster in his fucking Mighty Hurricane just zips past you and gets fucking first place, and then you're getting bollocks because you had to fucking avoid death. And the final stretch isn't really easy because it's very twisty, and that's right after the slalom when you're going between the pipe sections. And the pipe section doesn't really have any boost pads, and I don't feel that boosting actually makes a difference on that section. I don't know, like, it's weird as that section, it really is. But the final section is usually where you want to do the boost, but it's very difficult to boost and maintain control of your vehicle while you're doing it. I don't think this is the worst track ever. I think it can actually be kind of fun, but the reason why I say it's not good is because that final section is just a fucking pain in the ass, and I think everyone will agree with me on that. It's a nightmare. So yeah, intersection, not good, but it's better than Mobius Ring. It's not the worst. It's not the worst green plant, because it's better than fucking Mobius Ring, but it's not as good as Spiral. Right, next we have Double Branches. This track is actually quite fun. It's a pretty long track, but it's really interesting. It's got a lot of different sections. Like at the beginning, you have a split, and splits are all about what this track's all about. And yeah, like you have a split, and then one of them takes you to a pit strip, the other one takes you to a lower section with boost pads. I just take the split that goes with the pit strip because there's boost pads after the fucking pit strip anyways, so you might as well just tape that. I don't see the point in taping the lower section. For some reason there's also a fucking jump pad on the lower section. I just don't see the point in taking that one. The problem is it's confusing sometimes which path you want to take, because sometimes you'll just take the wrong path by accident just simply because you think that it leads the other way, but no, it doesn't. It leads to the wrong one, and you're like, I missed the pit strip. But other than that, like the rest of the track, it's a really nice track. It has a lot of dash pads and pit strips, like, so you're pretty safe for the most part on this track. There's one section which you do have to be a little bit careful on, but if you're not driving too fast, you shouldn't have a problem. And it's that section where you're kind of like going, like, I think it's in a loop, but it's after one of the splits, like you'll go down, like, I don't really know the difference between them. They're more or less very much the same sort of thing, but it's like you'll go down like this, like, loop section, and if you boost too much, you'll fall off. And some of the splits have dash pads. Some of them have jumps. What I like to do at the end, because there's like a split at the end which has dash pads and jumps, I like to take the jump first on the first one and then hit the dash pad on the second one. That's what I like to do. But if you are crazy enough and you want to get the maximum speed out of it or whatever, then you can take both of the dash pads. But that's just the way I've always done it, because that's the way I feel comfortable doing it. I'm going to put this one as very good. I actually like this one quite a bit. I'll put it above Aero Dive and Spiral, actually. I'll put it there. Actually, yeah, I'll put it above Cylinder Whip. I like this track quite a lot. What I don't like, however, is this track. Oh boy. Half Pipe. This is the track everybody dreads in this game, because this track doesn't pull its punches. This track will fuck you. This track is the track that will screw you. I mean, I don't think it's as badly designed as Serial Gaps, but this is a track where you'll die a lot, just simply because there's no sides for most of this track, and if you boost too far, you'll fall off the track, and if you get too close to the edge, you'll fall off the track. I mean, it's weird because the half-pipe tracks in F-Zero X didn't feel this challenging, but in F-Zero GX, this one is insanely hard. I don't know why this one's so much harder than the fucking half-pipe tracks in X. I just don't know, but it is. Like, this track is, like, I think some of the fucking dash pads are fucking evil. Like, there's dash pads right on the edge. Anyone who takes those dash pads is insane. Absolutely insane, and I swear they're there to screw you, because like, when you actually take the dash pads, there's another corner right afterwards, and it's just like you have this really weird landing. It's just like, was it really worth the extra speed to risk fucking falling to your death? And there's some twisty sections which can really fuck you over. This is the track where you're just panicking the whole way through, and you do nothing but fucking panic every fucking corner, trying to make sure that you don't fall off and maintain control of your vehicle, because this track is literally panic mode. And while I do think that that is a good thing because it really puts you on edge, I think it's a little too fucking panic mode, and for that I'm going to put it on not good. Just simply because I just don't like the track. I just think it's a bit too punishing personally, and yeah, I don't really like going on this track. I don't look forward to it at all. And the final track of Emerald Cup, as I always say, is literally an ordeal, because it's called Big Blue Ordeal. That's the name of the track. It's called Ordeal, and it's literally an ordeal because it's right after fucking half-pipe, and you want the Grand-Prix to be over by the time that you're done with half-pipe, because when you've beaten half-pipe, you feel like you've fucking won at life, but you still haven't finished the Grand-Prix because you've got this one last track to do. And, like, this track is... it's hard to get a really good score on this track. It's not impossible to actually survive it, but it's not necessarily easy track. It's not as hard as half-pipe. Half-pipe's harder, but it's not stupidly impossible. It's not easy. Like, there's another tunnel section which is a little bit easier than Drift Highway, but it's still pretty difficult. As I say, like, despite the fact that it's called Ordeal, you get to see more of a view of Big Blue than you do on Drift Highway, I'll give it that. And it's not as hard as half-pipe. You're basically panicking again, just simply because you don't want to have to do half-pipe again, and you don't want to fucking fail, and it's just like, everything is on the line with this track when you're doing it on Grand-Prix mode. But as a track itself, it's actually not that bad. If you're playing this on exhibition mode and just playing, like, practice mode and just playing it as a standalone track, it's a fun time. But if you're playing it on Grand Prix mode, when you just finished fucking half-pipe, you just want it to be over. You just want to fucking move on and win. And you have this one track to do, and it's not easy, and it's just like, all of the rest of your remaining energy after surviving half-pipe has to go to actually doing decently on this. You won't do very well on freaking half-pipe, because half-pipe's hard, and you'll be fucking losing positions because the AI on Masterclass will just drive like fucking maniacs regardless, and they don't care. They don't care if they die. They just want to kill you. That's all they want to do on Masterclass. So obviously you're going to lose positions, and this is where you have to play catch-up, and it's very hard to catch up because the final section is, like, as I say, like, there's some sections where you, like, particularly the one that you see on the image here, where you just, like, there's not really any boost pads, and it's just, like, curvy and stuff. You get to see the landscapes a lot because of that, but as I say, like, it's boost, 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 then you go down to another bit with 90-degree corners, and then you go into the tunnel bit, which is pretty tricky, even though it's wider than fucking Drift Highway. I mean, this is nowhere near as hard as Drift Highway, but it's not easy. As I say, there's also, like, a split in this track as well. Like, you can take the long way, or you can take this really awkward jump. I never risk the jump, and I'll tell you why, because I've just beaten fucking half-pipe. I'm not going to risk dying just simply because of the fucking awkward jump that's similar to the fucking jump of fucking serial gaps. And because of that, I usually play it safe and take the easy route, which is a little bit longer. But the final stretch where you want to get a high score, like, it's tough because you'll be boosting like no tomorrow. There's no pit strip before it, so you better fucking conserve your boost for that last stretch and not use it in the tunnels. Because if you use it in the tunnels, you're going to have a rough time in the last stretch. And the last stretch, well, it's tough because it's fucking thin roads, and you have to fucking pass a fucking army of fucking vehicles and not crash into them. But at the same time, as I've done before, you can actually get a suicide finish and maybe get an extra few places or even win. So, yeah, I'm going to put this on good. I think that this track is a good track despite the fact that it's an ordeal because you fucking have to do it after fucking half-pipe, and it's just like, you really don't want to do it, but you have to do it. It lives up to its name, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's an ordeal, and it's a fucking good one, so it gets good for me. Right, now we have Diamond Cup, which you have to unlock by beating all the other cups on Expert. And believe me, you'll need to be an expert to conquer Diamond Cup, because Diamond Cup doesn't fucking mess around. It's hard. Oh, it is. And the first track pretty much sums it all up. Trident, which is the only Cosmo Terminal track in the game, which, in case you're wondering what Cosmo Terminal is, it's a space elevator with a fucking racetrack on it, because this is F-Zero GX, people. A game made by crazy people who thought that would be a great idea to attach a fucking racetrack to a fucking space elevator. Like, how they could afford to do that? Who's financing this whole thing? Who's financing the fucking F-Zero and making all this shit happen? I mean, you've got to remember, Don Genie said that he was actually planning on buying out the F-Zero at one point. That's fucking scary. That's how fucking rich these people are. Like, these people make fucking Bobby Kotick look poor. And you can tell with this track, because who in their right mind would design a fucking racetrack on a fucking space elevator? Could you imagine the engineering required to make that work? And all of the fucking, like, I mean, I know there's no health and safety in F-Zero, but all of the fucking, like, structural integrity of this track, how do you maintain this? Like, imagine doing maintenance on this fucking track. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Like, it just is. Everything about this track is just insane. Everything is insane. This is a track that you're going to absolutely adore if you are a professional F-Zero player. And what I mean by that is, if you're a fucking crazy game nerd, you know, you're gonna love this fucking track, because you can shift boost infinitely. Like, infinitely. And there's never a moment that you can't, because, well, actually there is, because there's like one section where you have to like MTS. But like, you can just like constantly shift boost and reach insane speeds, and I mean insane speeds. Like, this is the speed stage of the game. This is the fucking track where you will go insanely fast. Out of all the tracks, this is the speed one. This is the one where you go the fastest out of all the tracks in the game. Now, it might not feel like that, because you'll be so fucking far ahead of everybody, unless Don Genie's in the fucking race, in which case you might actually have a hard time, because Don Genie is pretty tricky. But even then, like, as long as you take the right routes, which I'll tell you the routes right here. Blue, I think it's blue, green, and red? I think that's the one. Or blue, green, and blue. One of them. It doesn't, I don't think the last one matters, but take the blue path first. Always take the blue path first, because the blue path gives you an earlier pit strip and a dash pad. And always take the green path afterwards, because the pit strip is sooner, and you'll need that pit strip immediately, because you'll be out of fucking boost, and you'll want to keep that boost. You will want to keep fucking boosting the whole race. And if you want to be even crazier, you can fucking like empty the fucking boosts and maintain that speed for longer periods of time. But it's very hard to do that, because, you know, you're trying to focus on not fucking falling off the track, because there's no fucking sides. There's no railings on this track, aside from like the final section, which is kind of like a like corner where they actually give you railings. But yeah, there's no fucking railings. You can just fall to your death at any moment. But this is actually the easiest track on Diamond Cup, because when you know the track, and when you are confident in regards to handling your machine, and you're driving your machine like Magic Seagull, this track is a fucking adrenaline rush. It's a breeze, and I actually really like this track. I'm going to put this track on very good. This is the track that you drive when you bring your friends over to play F-Zero GX, and you want to show off. This is the track you play, because they will look at this track and they will be absolutely terrified. They're like, oh my god, how do you do this? How do you fucking do this? Meanwhile, you are absolutely dominating on this track, and they are impressed. You will impress your friends by getting good at this track. You will, because and it feels good. It's one of those tracks that makes you feel awesome when you fucking beat it. It's just like, because you know how fucking hard it was the first time when you started this track. But when you've done it like a billion times, it just feels like fucking second nature. I mean, you'll still make mistakes sometimes, and you'll still fuck up quite often, just simply because of silly mistakes. but man, like, you will be in the zone for this track. You will be in the zone the whole time, and that's what F-Zero GX is all about. It's all about the adrenaline rush, and Cosmo Terminal Trident is a fucking adrenaline rush and a half. Speaking of adrenaline rush, the next track is Sand Ocean Lateral Shift, and my god, take the adrenaline rush of Trident and combine that with a sense of urgency and tension. That's what Lateral Shift is, and I'll tell you why. Because the AI on Trident, aside from Don Genie, kind of suck. Like, Cosmo Terminal Trident is basically just you versus Don Genie. Sand Ocean Lateral Shift, on the other hand, is you versus everybody, and the AI are so fucking aggressive. The AI want to rape you. They are wanting to rape you on this fucking track, and they will do everything in their power to make sure you die before you even reach the finish line. They will kill themselves to make sure you die. And I mean this. Like, fucking Twin Narita is a piece of fucking shit on this track. He drives so fast and he will always fucking be ahead of you all the time and make damn well sure he's ahead of you. The first thing you do when you fucking get the fucking opportunity is murder the bitch. Because if you don't murder that son of a bitch, he's gonna fuck you up in every single conceivable way, and he's gonna be a fucking pain in the ass for the rest of the fucking Grand-Prix. So boom him immediately. Because take no fucking prisoners here, because the AI will not hold back. Like, the AI definitely won't take any prisoners. So you've got to play just as dirty as the AI to get ahead. This is cutthroat. This race is business. This race is fucking serious business. Absolutely cutthroat race, but does it fucking feel good? Absolutely. This is an adrenaline rush, but it's also a fucking nightmare. Part of me wants to put it on very good, but at the same time, part of me wants to put it on good just simply because of how fucking ruthlessly difficult this track is. Then again, it does represent what F-Zero GX is all about. It's difficult, but man, does it feel good when you fucking finally beat it. Oh my god. And I think for that, I have to give it very good, just simply because it's one of the more definitive tracks in F-Zero GX. But it's on the bottom side because this track pisses me off. Oh my god, like, this track is insanely brutal. And if you're not careful, you can fall off because the final section, there's no sides. So, like, there's railings and it's very wide at the beginning, but the AI is so fucking aggressive that that doesn't matter, and you just throw all that simplicity out the window, because every fucking second of this race, you are going to get bummed. The AI are going to fucking attack you and ram you and make sure that you have a really hard time, and then you go to the part with no sides. The AI is not going to stop. Oh no, they're going to keep trying to ram you off the fucking track, even when there's no fucking sides. So basically, this track is either going to be straightforward, and, well, as straightforward as Cosmo Terminal Trident, or basically impossible. Like, there's no two ways about it. All depends on how many races there are. Like, if you're fucking racing in a fucking horde of racers, you're going to get fucked because they're all going to just swarm you and fucking bum you and you're going to die. If you manage to get away from the group and basically you're in first place and you're ahead of the fucking horde of racers, it's not really that problematic. Just make sure that when you get to the boost lap that you get ahead, because if you don't, then you're going to be in for a world of pain. Right, so if you manage to survive Lateral Shift, guess what? You're rewarded with another hard track, Undulation. This track can basically be summed up as a fucking highway to hell. It fucking is. This is the fucking ride of your life. This is the roller coaster ride to hell. This is the track that if you're playing on the fucking monster machine, you are going to feel a lot of fucking, like, if you're on the monster machine, you might as well be on a fucking roller coaster. Like, if you're playing this on the fucking monster cabinet, because my god, like, the fucking bumps on this fucking road are just insane. This is the one track that you do not want to fucking, unless, well, you either do or you don't. This is either the best fucking track for the Monster Arcade cabinet, or the worst track for the Monster Arcade cabinet, depending on how good you are at roller coasters, because, my god, like, you will be fucking all over the place if you're playing on a fucking Monster cabinet. Now, for people playing on GX, don't worry about getting nauseated, because, you know, you won't be bumping around, but it will feel like a bumpy ride, because that's what Undulation's all about. It's all about the bumps. It's like Thunder Road, except insanely fucking difficult. And fucking wild. This track is wild. This track is a fucking wild ride from beginning to end. And the thing about this track, and the trick to this track, is simple. The trick to this track is to save the boosting for the finale. Now, boosting on this track is really difficult. You have to boost when you reach the top, but even then, when you boost and reach the top, you'll get airtime just simply because you'll boost, and then the boost will propel you off the next bump, which will give you airtime, and you have to land, and then it's a rough, bumpy landing, and if you're unlucky, you'll land in a rough, bumpy landing right next to an AI who will ram you, and then you fall off the track because there's no sides. That's what this track's all about. That's what you have to deal with this track. And then there's a fucking jump. Now this jump might seem like a good idea, but only if you can fucking get past the fucking annoying fucking... It's like this horizontal fucking pipe that you'll just smash into sometimes and it'll fuck you. And it's just like, usually on the first lap, not a good idea, because you might hit that pipe. But when if you boost and you take it, you'll go past the pipe more likely. So yeah, if you're going to take that, boost. And of course, you don't ever want to boost on the bumpy sections because you'll just completely lose control and you'll just die because the AI will take advantage and bum you. So yes, this is a very, very hard track. Yes, this is a harder track than Lateral Shift. But is it a fun track? Hell yeah, it's fun. So I'm gonna put it here. It's crazy, it's chaotic, and it's one of the hardest tracks in the game. But man, is it fucking awesome, especially when you fucking finally beat it. Plus, Firefield's music is fucking amazing. That final lap music, it's my second favourite, like, music track in the game, second to Aeropolis. Speaking of Aeropolis, guess what's next? Aeropolis Dragon Slope. Every time I get to this track, and this is the difference, when I do Multiplex, it's just like, yeah, I get Multiplex, I'm my favourite track in the game, can't wait. When I get to Dragon Slope, I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I'm literally fucking exhausted as fuck when I get to this track because I've just beaten fucking Lateral Shift and fucking Undulation. I've just survived those two tracks. Then I get to this track and I'm just like sighing, and I'm just like, I just want to fucking win. It's basically the same thing as Ordeal in the sense that you've just beaten two of the fucking hardest tracks in the game, and now you're presented with this track, and this is like the breather track of Diamond Cup. It's not entirely easy, but it's a breather track. It's one of those tracks that really gives you hope. That you have a chance. Because if you beat those two tracks, and if you survive those two tracks, you have a chance. But you have to do well on this track, and that's what will always get you. Because it's not easy to win this track. But it's not impossible. It's just very difficult, because the problem with this track, and here's the thing. The problem with this track is it all depends on the dives, because very much like Surface Slide, you have to be very careful when you boost on this track, because the timing of your boosts is everything. You really want to manage your boosts well, because you can't just constantly boost on this track. It's not going to do you any favours. You want to boost when you have the best opportunity to do so. And when the best time to boost is very difficult to tell, because it all depends on where the AI is. If the AI is blocking the way, it's probably not a good idea to boost. And that's the tricky bit, because the part where you're supposed to boost is when the track goes narrow. And when the track goes narrow, that's when the AI gets even more aggressive somehow, and I don't know why, but for some reason, when the AI reaches this part of the track, they're just like, hey, I feel like murdering people today. I feel like murdering people. I'm just gonna get my fucking axe and start chopping people's heads off. And that's what they do. They're just like, I want to be Jack the Ripper. I want to be a fucking serial killer for like a few minutes, and they will just try and bum you. And if they touch you on this fucking section, on this narrow section, instant death. And I mean it, instant fucking death. It's just like fucking Mobius ring, in the sense that it's deceptive, because you wouldn't think that it's going to be that difficult, but when you get hit on this section, you will get fucked. You will get fucked. It's instant death. You'll just fly off the track and die, just by someone just poking you with the fucking machine. You'll just die instantly, and that's happened to me so many fucking times, to the point that it's just insane. And because of that, you know, do I want to give it perfection? I can't give it perfection, but do I want to put it on very good? Absolutely. This would have been my favourite track in the game if it wasn't for that fucking section and the AI bumming me on that section. That just instantly kills me. But this track is almost perfect. It's almost perfect, but it's the best of very good, because, you know, it's a really good track, and it's got Zen. You get to hear the whole track of Zen, because like the other two Aeropolis tracks are too short. They're too short. On Masterclass, when you have to drive super fast and you have to basically drive perfectly to fucking win, you know, you're going to be so fucking fast that you'll miss most of the music. You'll actually get to hear most of the song in this track. Maybe not the whole song, but you'll get to hear more of like the song before you reach the final lap. And yeah, I love that, and it feels good when you're actually listening to more of the song, because this is a longer Aeropolis track. And, you know, if it wasn't for that one section, it probably would be the best Aeropolis track. But Multiplex is the best one for me because of that one little thing. That's the one thing that holds this track back. And finally, we have the track that nobody likes. Phantom Road, Slimline, Slits. Yeah, this is the worst track in the game. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to defend this track. I mean, the thing about this track is, it's the final track in the game, and because it's the final track in the game, it's called Phantom Road. Now, you're probably thinking, why is it called Phantom Road? Well, Rainbow Road just wasn't enough. Rainbow Road was too kiddie and easy. It's like, when you think of Rainbow Road, you think of rainbows and happy places. No, that's not what you're in for with this game. Oh no, you're in for some pain. That's why you're in for Phantom Road, because this track is a nightmare. Because phantoms are fucking out to haunt you, and they fucking will haunt you. Oh, they fucking will. The final chapter, the final boss, is also on a Phantom Road track. So basically, this is the final boss. It's the final boss track. The final race in both Grand-Prix and Story Mode is Phantom Road. So, yeah, it's basically like the evil Rainbow Road for the grand finale of F-Zero GX. And I'm just going to explain this here. Both fucking tracks are the hardest thing you will ever do in your fucking life. And I mean it. Phantom Road in general, not just Slimline Slits, Phantom Road in general. Chapter 9 and Slimline Slits, pain. Absolute pain for two completely different reasons. The reason why Chapter 9's pain is because there's no sides, there's no railings, and there's lots of corners. And I mean tight corners where you have to be perfect on every fucking corner or death. So if you don't drive absolutely perfectly, and make sure that you get that corner perfect and you know exactly how long to fucking turn and when to transition into a quick turn, because if you do it too early, death. If you do it too late, death. So you have to know the perfect timing to go from that drift to quick turn. That's why Chapter 9's hard. Why is this hard? Because fucking hell, like, I actually think this might actually be harder. On Masterclass at least. On the other difficulties it's not so bad, but on Masterclass this is impossible, and I'll tell you why. Because the AI cheats. Like, you go to the final section just before, like, the finish line, and you see in the sky some random racers are just rocketing through the sky, and they manage to corner through the sky, and they're literally fucking flying through the air at fucking warp speed and cornering as they're flying through the air at warp speed, and you're like, what the absolute fuck? There's no jump pads here. This isn't fucking serial gaps. There's no fucking jump pads, but where are they getting this airtime from? And if they haven't fallen off, how are they so fucking far ahead of me? And how are they so fucking far high in the sky? How? Just how? How do the fucking AI do this? And they dominate. Literally, the only chance you have to get a decent position in this race is if you skip the track. If you do what you do on serial gaps, which is skip part of a track, which there's this like downhill section which ends at a boost pad. You want to skip that whole section. You just want to boost so fucking fast that you'll just like go off the track, but you'll fly in the air, and then you just aim at the bottom of the track and then hopefully land on the track, and then you've skipped it. That's the only hope you have, because at that point you don't have to fucking race against the AI, and you're actually a little bit ahead and you can take advantage of that. But for the rest of it, it's hard because there's fucking tight fucking corners, like the tightest corners ever. It's like Trident and fucking... It literally is Trident and Lateral Shift combined. It literally is those two tracks combined. That's what this is. It's Trident and Lateral Shift combined. It's Trident in the sense that it's fucking thin roads. The only difference is that there's actually railings. Could you imagine if there weren't any fucking railings? Could you fucking imagine if there weren't any railings on that section? It'd be too hard. I think it would be borderline impossible if there were no railings. I think it would be so freaking difficult. But railings or not, you're going to hit the railings and lose speed, and the obviously aggressive AI is going to fucking ram you, and then you're just going to get fucked. Yeah, this track is the definition of hell. You've never been to hell until you've raced on this track. I mean, this is the highway to hell. This is hell. This is it. This is the fucking track that is hell. You are in hell when you are in this track because that's all you're in. That's all you're in for. Pain and misery from the whole race. So what I like to do, and what a lot of people admittedly like to do, is try and get first place on every other track on Diamond Cup, which is actually quite hard to do. Or at least get a decent position on Diamond Cup and get last place on fucking Slimline Slits because I don't fucking care. I'm not dying. I'm not playing the fucking hero at this point. I've just survived some of the hardest tracks in the game. I'm just gonna drive as slow as possible so that I don't die and so the AI don't bum me. Because I'm not fucking risking it. And some people will die. Oh, there will be people dying on this track because people, we're talking about suicidal AI that want to fucking murder you. They will kill themselves to murder you. These are fucking suicide bombers. That's what the AI basically become in this game. Like fucking Black Shadow sometimes. I remember on fucking Undulation, where fucking Black Shadow was adamant that he was going to fuck me. And he was just going, he just did this suicidal maneuver where he just boosted so fucking quick on the bumpy section and did a spin attack. Any fucking player who did that would just go flying off the track. But fucking Black Bull, he was adamant that he was going to murder me and he instantly killed me. And I was like, fuck. But yeah, Phantom Road Slimline Slits is a nightmare. And you are not ready for it. You are never ready for it. I have never gotten first position on this track on fucking Masterclass. I don't even know if it's possible. I'm sure it is. I'm sure someone's found a way via shift boosting and other maneuvers to actually do it. But I've never done it. I think it's insanely hard, and it's the one thing that I just cannot do. I just can't do it. I just don't know how it's fucking possible, people. I mean, it's just so fucking difficult because the AI just are relentless. But that's it, folks. That's it. That is my ranking of all of the fucking racetracks in F-Zero GX. Except the ones in fucking story mode. I mean, that's a whole different ball game, is that? I mean, I already kind of gave away a few of them, but yeah, I didn't want to mention story mode because that's a whole different ball game. It really is. And I didn't want to mention Sonic Oval. I mean, Sonic Oval is basically a story mode track anyway, so there's no point in covering that. But yeah, as you can see, my favourite track in the game, it's between Aeropolis and Thunder Road. I mean, actually, I could probably put Meteor Stream there, actually. I probably could. I actually like that, but it's very easy. It's a very easy track, and that's the one thing that holds it back, really, isn't it? Like, it is so tempting to put it up there, but I think if it was up to me, on a personal level, part of me would, but I don't know, like, I think very good is a good position for it, I really do. These two tracks definitely deserve to be up here, but I don't know, these tracks are all a fucking whale of a time, and they are actually challenging. And I think for the sense of challenge and the balance of the challenge that these two get right, they deserve to be at the top, just simply because this track is too easy because the AI just suck. The AI are just brain dead. Even on Masterclass, the AI are just completely lost. Like, it's like they've just completely lost their touch. They just don't have it anymore. It's like they're like fucking Goldberg in his later years trying to fucking wrestle. That's what the AI just become. They just become like past their prime when they reach this track and this track. When they reach fucking Aerodive and fucking Meteor Stream, like the AI is past their prime. They're like, I've still got it, guys. I've still got it. I can still race. But they realise that they've forgotten where the boost is on the machine. So like, where's the boost? I can't find the boost thing on my machine in the cockpit. I can't find it. Yeah. Whereas you, the player, you have common sense. You know to boost, and you know to constantly boost, and you know that constantly boosting feels good, and that's what this fucking track's all about. But yeah, like, God, this game's so fucking awesome, man. Like, I think it's better that I do a tier list and not do a worst to best video, because honestly, like, some of these can be interchangeable. I mean, these two especially can be interchangeable. I don't think that, like, a lot of these especially can be interchangeable. Like, ranking all of them worst to best would actually be really hard. Like, some of these I could just swap around, some of these I could swap around. They're not, like, the order isn't really, I mean, to some degree it is, but the order isn't finite, you know? It's like Twist Road, I'd probably put it a little lower, personally, you know? Maybe, I don't know. Like, I might actually put Blue Cross higher, but, you know, like... Honestly, I think the main takeaway is, yes, there's some pretty annoying tracks in this game, as you can see down here. But, you know, it wouldn't be F-Zero GX without them, it wouldn't. You know, these are the memorable tracks for being absolutely annoying as hell, but you fucking remember, especially Intersection. I think Intersection is one of those tracks that everybody remembers. No one's ever going to forget this track. It's one of the most memorable tracks in the game. I think there's something to be said about that. Even though I don't like racing on it, even though I say it's not good, I do think it is a good track deep down, just simply because of how memorable it is. It's a pain in the ass, and I don't fucking like it, but it's good. But I put it at not good because I don't like it. I don't like racing on it because it's hard. It's hard and I suck. And Lightning Halfpipe is just, it gives me nightmares. I have nightmares of this fucking track. I do. I have nightmares of this track every night. And this track's just basically like Slimline Slits, but not as hard. This track's just where the AI is just absolutely relentless, and this is just the track where you just die randomly at any moment because the AI will just dumb you. You know, but... Like, Mobius Ring is definitely the worst of these. I don't know what they were thinking with this. This track could have been a simple track, but it's just a nightmare. But these tracks aren't that bad. It's just AI, insane difficulty, like, But yeah, I think I'm done talking now because I'm going to bore you if I talk any more about F-Zero GX. I mean, you can't blame me. It is pretty much my religion. I adore this fucking game, and I want to make that clear to everybody. I adore this fucking game. It is my second favourite game of all time, second only to Valkyrie Profile 2, and yeah, that's like, it would have been first place if Valkyrie Profile 2 didn't mean so much to me. I mean, Valkyrie Profile 2 is a special game, but this game, I think if we're just talking like in terms of like if we just ignore Valkyrie Profile 2 and take that out of the equation, this game is perfect. This game is fucking perfect. Yes, these tracks might not be perfect, but, you know, I think they serve their purpose in the long run. They're fucking insanely hard, and that's what they're meant to do, but the game wouldn't be F-Zero GX without them. If you take away any of the fucking flaws that this game has, or perceived flaws, you'd ruin it. Because that's what F-Zero GX is all about. It's part of what it is, and I think for that reason, F-Zero GX in general is perfection. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.